We are here because we want everybody to be a leader worth following. Now, I think when you hear that, it could be just like a little rehearsed line, but the reality is becoming a leader worth following is really hard work. It requires a lot of communication, it requires a lot of alignment, it requires a lot of consistency, it requires a lot of intentionality. And I think for a long time, I thought being a great leader was like looking a certain way, being a dominator, talking loud, being the largest person in the room, being the smartest person in the room. And I think to some degree, some of those things have elements of leadership, but the reality is leadership can be defined as those who fight for the highest good of other people. It's people who will walk with you for a long time. They'll give you skills, whatever they have, people skills, spreadsheet skills, executive skills, life hacks, right? They'll give it away. Spiritual skills, right? Mm-hmm. And then they'll also speak the truth in love. They're the people who are going to say, Lauren, you got a little something right there, right there, right? And that's when you know you have a friend, right? Holly would say that to Lauren, and Lauren, I'm pretty sure would say that to Holly, right? It's just like, hey, you know, my son, Jonah, he likes to tell me when my breath stinks. He will call me out every single time. I'm not sure he's fighting for my highest good. I think he's just being an asshole. But, you know, just it's just the reality of leadership. Leadership is I want the best for you. So we're here because we want to have a space where we are for you, where we do a little bit of that for you today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thanks for being here with us and tracking with the toolkit sessions. I'm really excited about this one. It's about communication and how we can communicate with our people. And as I was thinking about what we were doing today, which is the active listening audit, I thought of this coach. He's a Division I basketball coach, was in the 90s, and he was at Indiana University. They say he's one of the greats, had a temper, but still accomplished a lot with his teams and his staff. I remember watching a practice of his while he was coaching. I was in high school. Don't ask me how I saw it. I don't know. But I saw a video of him coaching at a practice. And my goal in life was to always be a college basketball player. So I'm digging, I'm trying to get everything I can get, all the magic, all the goodness. And I'm listening to Coach Knight at a practice rip one of his players a new one. And he's just screaming at him and screaming at him and screaming at him. The player tries to walk away. But Coach Knight comes over and he gets in his face and he says, "Hey, are you listening to me?" Because the player wasn't doing what coach was telling him to do. And the player said, "Yeah, I heard you," and walked away. And he went over got back in his face and said, "No, that's the problem. You're hearing me, but you're not listening." And that was something in high school that really stuck out to me. And as we become good listeners, we're going to be even better leaders. And what I've realized is that listening is not like a sponge. That would be like hearing. Listening is like a trampoline. So when we're in conversation with somebody else, and we want to be really good at actively listening to be a better leader, to understand how we can serve them more. If we're a sponge, we're just receiving the information and we're just absorbing it and we're consuming. And that's not really leadership. That's not really actively listening. But a trampoline, that gives a better visual of what active listening is all about. So Coach Knight talked about hearing and listening. And I thought this was a neat little chart that we would share. This is not the tool, but it's something supplemental to it. Hearing's passive, listening's active. Hearing is hearing something in the background, but you're not really paying it much attention. We live underneath the flight path of the world's largest naval base. And Eddie and I live about 3 minutes away from each other on the same road. We'll be on the phone and a plane will cross over my house and I'll have to pause, and then it'll cross over his house and he'll have to pause. And sometimes we hear the planes, but sometimes we don't. When I first moved in here, I went outside, I would hear a plane or helicopter from really far off, and I'd want to go see it. I want to go see what it is. And now it's just like, oh, I'm continuing on with my day. I don't pay much attention. I'm just hearing it in the background. Listening is really taking stock of what someone is saying to you and bouncing the ideas off of each other like a trampoline so that we can inspire and collaborate and keep working together. So, how good of a listener are we? Let's take the listening audit. All right. So, grab a pen, grab a sheet of paper. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think through it. But the first question, we're going to rank 1 through 10. 1 being, it's a disaster. 5 is your average. 10 is you're a legend. Okay. So how good am I at taking the time to truly listen to what others are trying to share with me? Take a few seconds, write down your number. How good am I at taking time to truly understand what others are trying to share with me? Okay. How good am I at asking questions to draw out what other people are trying to say? How good am I at being able to summarize what I think I've heard from them, the other person talking with me, to check if I've got it right? How often do we check for accuracy in our conversations? How good am I at using body language to communicate interest and attentiveness with the person with whom I'm communicating? There's a doctor of psychology at UCLA that says he has something called the 7-38-55 rule. And we receive, if we're thinking about how somebody makes us feel in conversation or how we make other people feel in conversation. He says through research, people feel a certain way, 7% based on the words we use, 38% based on the tone or voice that we use, and 55% is based on facial expression or body language. So how we're making someone feel, how good am I at using body language or my facial expressions to communicate trust, psychological safety, that I'm for you, I'm here for you, I'm not trying to prove anything. I get to show up as my best self and truly listen to you so that I can serve you as best I can. That's a good leader. How good are we doing at that? Last one. How good am I at resisting the temptation to jump in and assume I know what the other person is talking about? 1 to 10. All right, go ahead and add those up. Or we can just take stock right there.
Can we see all the questions in one place just one more time? Mm-hmm.
Does number 5 imply that like you interrupt the person and like complete their sentence and say, yeah, I know what you mean, and don't let them finish? Okay.
I believe so.
I can't resist doing that. Everything was going well in my scores.
Yep.
Me too. So that last one.
Do you want us to post it in the chat, our scores,
that'd be great.
or what?
If you want to, that'd be fantastic. Hey, Tel. Hey, Yelp. I just saw you guys on there. Hey, Priscilla.
Hello.
Yeah, so here's the questions 1 through 10. Am I a disaster at this one? Am I average at this one? Or am I a legend in this area? Some of them, I think I'm doing okay, like you, Rebecca, but there's a couple that it's like, wow, this is a mirror that I need to really stop trying to avoid looking at myself in. I need to see myself in this one. This is really good. So take it, utilize it, let it impact your conversations. It just might make you a better husband or boyfriend or father or wife or girlfriend or mother. It just might help your intimacy. Happy Valentine's Day, y'all. It just might make you more money. It just might help you with your conversations to have better influence in our communities. And we want to lift people up. In order to lift people up, we got to know where they're at, and we got to get down on their level, and we have to help them draw out. Good leaders draw out the gold that is within every single person in our family or team. Eddie, any final thoughts? Any questions?
It's a mountain. For some of you, it might be a sharp mountain, but for some of you, it might be a big mountain where it's like 5, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5. Like that. That is actually, we start with a really hard one and we end with a really hard one. It's designed that way. That last one is actually like high level leadership. So number 5, the idea of like not assuming, never assuming. I have heard that so many times from different people in this industry of coaching, leading, or CEOs who are like, I have had to learn to not assume. They've even said some things and I assume, and then we continue, and then there's a conversation breakdown. There's a as I'm doing an interview, as I'm doing an on-site, as I'm doing a negotiation, I'm assuming something, and those assumptions always lead to a really bad film day, a really bad opportunity profile, a really bad spreadsheet, a really bad whatever it might be in our worlds that we're all in, whether it's media, search, church world. That number 5, if we just work on one, and we work on that one as, let me keep asking more questions. Let me make sure I don't assume. Even if I know you, right? I'll be talking to my sister Itzel, and I will assume something, and I'll be like, "Is that what you mean?" And she's like, "No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Like I'm trying to tell you something different, because you don't have the full story." And so I would say it's meant to be, to some degree, hard question, easier, hard, right? We're all different a little bit, but I would say that number 5 is like, it's gold, right?
Mm-hmm. Likewise. So here's what you can do to get off this call and go have this make an impact or help you throughout your week. Fill this out for your team. Have your team fill it out. Have your family members fill it out. Just say, hey, I found this. This is awesome. And you can be for them in that way. And have them grade you if you are so brave. See what they think of how good of a listener you are. My wife is on this call, so I appreciate you and your grace for how well or terrible I actively listen to you. I think that's another thing, right? It's like we live at the flight path where all these planes are coming by. Who in your life are you listening to most or hearing most? But maybe you can listen to and give a little more attention to. So yeah, any final questions? We got one more minute.
Just can you show us the questions again so we can take a screenshot and show it to other people?
Yeah. And Eddie, tell us about the YouTube videos.
Yep, I will actually send out a YouTube link. I actually can put it in the chat real quick. It's the this video will be up on that YouTube link. But then also I would screenshot this. Let me see. So let's see if we can get those into the chat for you guys real quick. Yeah. So I'll yeah, why don't I do that? I know who's on the call. I'll send you guys out the YouTube link
Yeah,
for all the
great.
other toolkits, and I'll send you guys a screenshot of today's tool that you have in front of you.
Awesome. That's our time. Appreciate you all. For those I haven't met, I would love to meet you and chat. Rebecca, feel better. And Carlos, Rebecca, hopefully we'll see you in Mexico City in a couple weeks. Everyone else, I hope we get to have our paths cross soon as well. Good to see everybody. Go be for your people. Love you all.
Likewise.
Bye.
Happy Valentine's,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, guys.